所以今天菜色好像不错。
就咱下一次那个当天这个了，下一次炸好，这个我拼命的保守，现在不一样，这个礼拜现在
Meeting starts. President Lu, please read the opening bell.
Good afternoon, everyone. Feels like a long time.
Rotarian, please all rise for the four-way test. The four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it true? Second, is it fair or concern? Third, will you put wishes? Fourth, will you be beneficial or concern? Thank you. Please be seated. Rotary song.
我来翕相，进来进来。
PPF, please lead us to sing.
R-O-T-A-R-Y, that spells Rotary. R-O-T-A-R-Y is known on land and sea. From north to south, from east to west, it profits most who serve the best. R-O-T-A-R-Y, that spells Rotary.
Thank you, PPF. Next, introduction of visiting Rotarian and honorable guests. And we have PP Juice.
Thank you. Good afternoon, President Wu, and our speaker and guests, all fellow Rotarian. It is my great pleasure to introduce you today's guest. We have our speaker, 钟邦柱女士. Thank you. And her better half, 她的先生陈南明先生. And we have life's 干儿子朱明正. We have very good attendance. So thank you.
Thank you, PP Juice. President's time.
It feels like it's been a while since we're back since our last meeting here, and we had quite a few events over the past 2 weeks. I think this is from last week. Last week, Bravo and Joey and I went to Internet Club at Taichung Second Senior High School. They have about a group of 50 members now, which is like a pretty good size for our Internet Club. But the problem is, I found out that probably like half of them don't really speak English. So, and that was I think that meeting was the first official regular meeting they have for this semester. So I think we need we'll work closely with Steele and our Interact advisor and try to get them back on track. Share with them some of our traditions and our meeting procedures. And over the weekend, the prior weekend, we had a Rotary Day, run against the drugs. We had about 6-7 members, particularly thank Rotarian Bravo, whose entire family came to support us. We have a family uniform for the marathon. I'm father, I'm bigger brother, I'm the little sister, so it's pretty neat. So thank you all for coming today. And we had 2 informal meetings. One was on second outing. I think led by IPP Simon, was hosted by Ed and at Carpe Diem, and we decided that our preliminary date for our second outing will be next year's May 15th to May 19th, and destination will be Hokkaido, Japan. So we'll keep you posted once we get more details about some of the venue, destination, and price. And yeah, exactly. Then we had the first outing. We went to Daxi. We had an interesting trip to this Yes Farm. It's a vertical farm facility, and I think they're the largest one in Taiwan. We had the chairperson Tsai, who claimed he had liver cancer, but our physicians, a few of our physicians had different diagnosis or different interpretation of his illness. But anyway, it was an interesting company, and we had a good time there. And we went to O Street, Daxi Lao Jie, and we had a good stay at the Western Hotel. And I'm not sure, it's called Beggar's Chicken. I think I can't really tell from the picture. It's 叫花鸡, so it's a very unique dish we had, and we had a good time. We finished 6 bottles, we had 3 tables, and among the 3 tables, I think we had about 10 kids. But we finished 6 bottles of wines and 2 bottles of whiskeys, and we went to the poolside to join their, endless happy hour cocktail. So I heard but everybody was sober, I believe. That was the impressive part. And we went to the tea farm and the floral farm. I think it was a good time. Like our PE just mentioned today, it's not where we go, it's more of who you go with. So I think we as a Rotary Club and Rotarians had a good time. Enjoyed going out there, hanging out together. Is that it for my part? Okay, that'll be it for my part. Thank you.
Okay, just a few things to announce. We will have an international service on November 17th and 18th. We collaborate with National Museum of Natural Sciences, and they are having a multicultural movie festival on 17th and 18th. And we will require 3 volunteers from our club for each day. So if you're available, please register with them. And the National Museum of Natural Science also reserves 20 seats for our Rotarians. So please, if you have time, please come to join. And there are 2 movies. One is 我和我的冠军女儿, and another one is 人生起跑线. These 2 are both Indian movie and very encouraging. So please make your time. And we will have a Taichung Zhou Club. We'll have a 21st charter ceremony on November 21st. So if you are interested, please register with them. And also there is 70th charter ceremony on December 3rd, held by Rotary Club of Taipei. And we believe it will be a huge one because it's 70th birthday of them, and it's the first Rotary Club in Taiwan. So we believe it will be really amazing one. So if you are interested, please also register with them. And later on, we will have a board meeting after this meeting, so board members, please reserve your time to attend. Okay, let's get into our main program today. May we have Rotarian Life to introduce our speaker.
President Wu, Secretary Jimmy, today's speaker, Dr.
Dr. Zhong and her husband, Dr. Chen, and all the Rotary members and the guests. It's my great honor to introduce today's speaker, Dr. Zhong. Professor Zhong is a distinguished research fellow at the Institute of Molecular Biology, Academia Sinica. Professor Zhong received her PhD from the Graduate Department of Biochemistry, University of Pennsylvania, USA, and the BS from the Department of Chemistry, National Taiwan University. After going through postdoctoral training at Purdue University and University of California, San Francisco, Professor Zhong established her own laboratory at the Institute of Molecular Biology, Academia Sinica. Professor Zhong is a worldwide well-known scholar for her study in sterile and cell biology through receiving numerous international awards and recognition. This year, she also received the honor to become academician of Academia Sinica in Taiwan, which is one of the highest honorable titles given to a scholar. It's too many information about her awards, but I think I should stop saying, otherwise we have no time to hear more professional knowledge about Dr. Zhong's research. So today's her topic is sterile and health. Let us welcome Dr. Zhong.
Yes, so thank you very much. Yeah, so thanks, Life, and also President Liu and yeah. Is it too dark? I don't think we need to turn off the lights because I think, yeah, I like to开灯 because if the lights are off, I'll fall asleep, right? Yeah, okay. So this is my name, yeah,钟邦柱, and I'm from Academia Sinica. I don't know how many of you have been to Academia Sinica. So this is the. This is the front gate of Academia Sinica. I took this picture just 2 days ago because I saw the tree, Taiwan Wanshu, very beautiful. So I took the picture. Many people ask me, what do we do in Academia Sinica? So we do basic research in Academia Sinica. And we now have more than 30 research institutes covering the areas of physical sciences, life sciences, and social sciences. So we have about 5,000 people working constantly in Academia Sinica. And we have an open house every year once. That's the third Saturday of October. So just 2-3 weeks ago, we just had our open house. And I think tens of thousands of people went to Academia Sinica. It was quite a huge event. I don't know how many of you have been there, especially during the open house. So we had a lot of events there, many activities, movies, performances, lectures, and a lot of exhibitions. Very, very nice. I also enjoyed myself a lot. So please come next year in October. Yes. And what I'm going to talk about today is steroid and health. So people always ask me, as if I were the authority, but I know very little about it. I'm not a physician, so if you have any question regarding health, I'm not the person to help you really. Yeah, you need to ask your own doctor. Yeah, okay. And how many of you have heard of the term steroid? Please raise your hand if you have heard of it. Yeah, so about half of people have heard of it, but I think all of you have used it. Yeah, why? Because it's such a common drug that many people use it, and many people use it because of its effect. It's an anti-inflammatory drug, so people use it for everything. For example, some of your parents, at least my parents, my father had lung problem, so he has COPD, so his lung is kind of problem. Or some children have asthma, so especially during winter time, they cough, they cannot breathe. The doctor will give them some spray over the nose, and then that will relieve their symptom. So it's used quite often, not only for the lung problem, also for other problems. For example, if your skin has some rashes, you go to a doctor. The doctor will give you some ointment to treat. And what's in there? It's steroid. Or your eyes. Okay, so if your eyes hurt, irritated, so you go to the doctor. The doctor gives you eye drops. And what's in it? Steroid. Or muscle, if you have muscle pain. For example, nowadays, especially many people keep watching their cell phones. Yeah, they bend their neck a lot, or their hand playing with the computer. So many people have wrist problem, tendinitis problem. So you go to the doctor. At least I had this problem when my daughter was 5 months old. I was holding her all the time, so couldn't move my hand at all. And the doctor gave me a shot of steroid, and that relieved my pain right away. So it's quite universal and quite ubiquitous. And so what kind of steroids they are? They are different names, okay? So sometimes they are in the form of a pill or some kind of injection, or other times they are just like ointment here, or eye drops, or other forms, okay? But and if you look at their names, there are many compounds that belong to this class. For example, their names like, maybe you heard of it, prednisolone, that people take quite a lot, or beta-methadone, or hydrocortisone, or flucort. So for these medical terms, people will think, oh, it's still so difficult. How do I know it is a steroid? And so, so the way to tell that it's a steroid, just from the name, they usually will have the name like, oh, that's the ends and on, prednisolone, beta-methadone, hydrocortisone, or cort, or flucort, okay? So these are the typical names. So if you see, right now I think when you go to the doctor will give you the names of the drug. So if you see something that ends with this, it's likely they are steroids, okay? And they are very useful. So why can they be so useful that we need to know what's occurring in our body? So in our body, steroids not only are drugs, they are also secreted by our own endocrine glands. We secrete our own steroids, and that circulates throughout the body. So we secrete steroids. This is the picture that I take from the, I think, physiology class in our middle school. We all saw this. Or at least when I was in school, I think when I was maybe 15 years old in our physiology class, well, it wasn't called physiology. It was called hygiene, I think, So at that time, my teacher would say, oh, this chapter, I'll skip it, you can read it yourself.
Why?
But actually, there's nothing mysterious about it. So steroids are secreted from our endocrine glands, for example, adrenal gland or ovary testis, and they circulate through our body, exert their function. Whenever the blood can reach, they exert their function. So where can they exert their function? They can act in the brain, in the muscle, and then it increases our blood sugar, so it helps or it plays an important role in metabolism, and it has a role in our sexual differentiation, and it has a role in bone. So you can see that they are very important. For example, it is a stress hormone. You just think that in the brain, so it makes our brain think faster. For example, right now you finish your lunch, so you're sitting there, you feel very relaxed, so you can go to sleep. But I'm standing up here, I'm very tight, so my steroid level is high, okay? So I can think, That's very important. So why is that? Because that's a kind of stress, a slight stress that helps me, okay? And also, it also helps our muscle. So you always heard the story that in the case of fire, then a very weak woman almost all of a sudden becomes very strong. She can carry her baby running out of the room, and then all of a sudden she cannot walk, not even walk. But during fire, she can run very fast. Why is that so? That's because during stress, our body can adjust. So she secretes some kind of steroids herself that helps her muscle become strong, become very agile for that moment. So it is very important for our body's response to our environment. Okay, so that's the importance of steroids. So it acts almost everywhere. But we also know that it is a very fast event. It's good for you during that instant. But you cannot always in that high level. You need to cool down. Okay, so at that time when we cool down, steroid levels have to be coming down. And how is that so our body can adjust? So we have a mechanism that's called feedback inhibition. So when the blood steroid level is high, the blood steroid will go to the brain and tell the brain to shut off. They're saying, oh, there is enough, we shut it off. So that is very important. So steroid regulation plays a very important part in our body. So we always say that steroids are so good, but a lot of times there are side effects. Why are there side effects? That's because when our bodies have this high steroid levels, that is not the normal situation. Normal situation, we need to have a very low steroids. But when we take drugs, okay, if we take our drugs for a very long time, then our body cannot adjust. So there are a lot of side effects. And what are the side effects? Maybe some of you heard of it. One is that you have immune face, your face, I think, retain a lot of water. So it becomes water and fat. So your belly is very big, central obesity, okay? And then if you look at the skin bruises all the time. My father, because he had lung problem, so the doctor prescribed him actually 5 milligrams of prednisolone every day. So he took 5 milligrams prednisolone constantly for many years. So his skin became very thin and very easily bruised. Actually, many, I think more senior people, if you have senior people at home, you will see that they have this kind of problem. And fat, of course. And another problem is the muscle and the bone. So at a short time, our muscle becomes strong. But for long term, we lose our muscle. So the muscle becomes very weak, and our bone density is also lost. So there are a lot of problems that are associated with the side effect, long-term use of steroids. So some people have have the worry. So many people say, oh, I have a problem. I go to the doctor. I have an immune problem, I go to the doctor, whatever, and the doctor will prescribe steroids to the person. And many people say, I wouldn't take it, I'm afraid of the side effects. So when can we take steroids and when can we not take the steroids? So that's always a complicated issue. So I think if you go to a doctor, that doctor say, yes, you should take steroids as a medicine because it does treat many of our problems. And as I showed you earlier, that it does treat many of the problems. So we should take steroids, especially if you have inflammation. Okay, you should take it. But if you take it, you need to take it with caution. Really use it with caution and follow doctor's advice. And I'll talk about steroid withdrawal syndrome a little bit later. Yeah. So how do we take it? The doctors usually will think what is the best way to treat. For example, local applications you always better or a lot of times better than systemic use. Because if your problem is in your, say, in your wrist, then you apply steroids only to your wrist, not to the rest of your body. So the rest of your body will be fine, only the wrist will get the medication, so that's good for you. Or if your problem is in your nose. Oops. If your problem is in your nose, then you take it, this is for the lung, you just take it there, then that will be good. So it will not hurt your other places. Yeah. Or if your problem is your eyes, apply it locally. Yeah. But the most important thing is to really follow the doctor's advice. Sometimes the doctors say, oh, your problem is so severe, we have to give you a shot so that the drug goes through our whole body. That's the fastest way to cure or to relieve your problem. Then you follow the doctor's advice. That's very important. So what kind of usually the rule of thumb do we follow when we take steroids? Usually we say, take it at regular time so that our body have a constant level of steroids. And then do not stop your steroid when by yourself. Many people say, oh, steroids, they are bad to me. I feel good now, I stop it right away. Some people do that. Don't stop it without doctor's consent. Why is that so? Because I said that there is a problem called steroid withdrawal symptom. So what is the steroid withdrawal symptom? You just think, let me go back to this picture. You just think that we can regulate our body's steroids ourselves. But when you take a lot of steroid, the drug from outside, then the drug will operate. So they circulate around our body. So our body knows that, oh, we have a lot of steroids. So the body will shut off our own production of steroids. So our body don't produce any steroids anymore. And all of a sudden, you stop the drug completely. Then you don't have any steroid for yourself. Then the problem will come. Okay, you feel very fatigued. And then you are very susceptible to infection. And a lot of problems all of a sudden come. And that's called steroid. That's called steroid withdrawal symptoms. Yeah. If you go to the doctor, if the doctor wants to reduce your steroid drug level, the doctor will not stop all of a sudden. The doctor will just taper it off gradually. So the first day, 20 milligrams, second day, 10 milligrams, third day, 5 milligrams, and so on, just gradually taper it off so that the body has a way to recuperate, to cope with the condition. Okay. So do not stop early. Okay. You follow doctor's advice. And then also do not change dose yourself. So if today I feel very, very bad, then I take more. Tomorrow I feel better, then I stop. Don't do that, okay? Don't change, you follow the doctor's advice because that's very important for your own body, okay? And because if you're on steroids constantly, you need to pay more attention to your own body. So usually we say that steroids also regulate our salt balance. So in your diet, don't eat too much salt, okay? So take low salt food and then drink more milk to take more calcium. That's good for your health. And also steroids increase our blood sugar. So you better check your blood sugar constantly, especially for those people who suffer from diabetes. It's very important. So this is usually the precaution that we will take so that our body can gradually go through the body's crisis and go back to our original healthy self. Okay. Yeah. So now I want to talk more about the function of steroids in the brain. Yeah, because when I just told you, I told you the general knowledge about steroid function. But I think right now we are going into an aging society, so the function of steroids in the brain becomes increasingly important. Okay, so and it's very complicated. People know very little about it and so on. Because I just told you that steroids have very different effects. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it actually aggravates the condition. So you need to be very careful. For the brain, it's also saying sometimes and some steroids can help, but other times they hurt. So when can they help? When can they hurt? We need to figure out the condition. Yeah. So for example, in the brain, then estrogen is very important for the brain. It has a protective role. So that's why when women go after menopause, then usually their brain are less not protected by estrogen anymore. So you hear that postmenopausal women have a higher chance of suffering from, say, mood change or cognition problem, and they tend to become, or higher chance to become dementia. And also the rate of a stroke also becomes higher after menopause. So basically people think that estrogen is protective in the brain. But for other steroids, because there are so many different kinds of steroids, for other steroids or other times or other doses, then they are all different. So I'm just showing you some structures of steroids. So and tell you why. Steroids, the name is because they are derived from cholesterol. Okay. So steroids, the meaning of steroids really, all it means like. So steroids means like steroid. Okay. So they are very similar to cholesterol, but they are not cholesterol. If you look at the structure, you will know cholesterol has this 4-carbon ring, okay, in the long side chain here. And steroids, they all have this 4-carbon ring, okay. So if you look at them, they are all very similar to cholesterol, but they are not cholesterol, okay. They are only like cholesterol. And I give you the structure of a few steroids. So the names of steroids are, as you all know, very difficult to pronounce. Either English or in Latin or in Chinese, they are all difficult to pronounce. So we usually just use abbreviations. For example, this one, pregnenolone, I call it P5, or progesterone, I call it P4. Cortisol, cortisol. It's not that bad. It's less difficult. Yes. So I'm So people always ask me, or people always say, oh, you work with cholesterol. Actually, steroids are not cholesterol. They are derived from cholesterol, but they are not cholesterol. So what we know about cholesterol is that cholesterol is a component of the lipid. So we take cholesterol from our food. We can also produce our own cholesterol. And then when we have too much cholesterol, they deposit in our blood vessel and bad for our health. And steroids, as you know, that there are many different compounds that have similar structures, and they are all steroids, okay? And they can be produced either by ourselves, or there are also many synthetic steroids that are made by our human beings and used in medicine. Okay. So I would now talk to you about the function of steroids, of a particular steroid called P5, okay? P5, why? Because recently P5 has a role. People know this for a while, that it has a role in the brain. For example, it enhances memory, and it has been used in clinical trials for depressive disorders. And then in rodents, it has a role to promote recovery after spinal cord injury. And our purpose is to make some kind of drug candidate, okay, and to treat our brain functions in this aging society. Because right now there are very few good drugs that can treat our brain problems. Okay. So in my laboratory, we use either cell culture or use mice or use zebrafish to study brain function. So I'll tell you a little bit of our research using zebrafish. How many of you have seen zebrafish? How many of you have seen zebrafish? None of you have seen zebrafish. So when I tell people that I work with zebrafish, people's reactions Can we eat it? Let me tell you, zebrafish is 3 centimeters long. So this long, okay? You can see them in the aquarium. So in the aquarium, because they are not expensive at all, and if you buy them, and then you can buy 10 zebrafish together, and they swim in the tank very beautifully. So it's basically a kind of tropical fish. And the reason why we use zebrafish is because there are many good reasons. And one reason that it's very small. So when it's small, you can raise them in our laboratory. So you don't need much space. So we are all short of space. So in a tank, you can raise, you can have many tanks and small fish. So and do your experiments more easily that way. Okay, and so. First experiment we do is that we just soak our fish in solution containing P5 for an hour. And after that, we just take fish brain and measure the amount of P5. And we find that P5 go into the brain right away. And then, so it goes into the brain very quickly. And brain can have a very high concentration of P5. So it's very effective. It goes in the brain right away. So it can be used quite easily if you want to use it in our medicine. And how do we test zebrafish behavior? So we test zebrafish behavior. This is one behavior. So our fish tank, okay, so you can see how fish swim. So it can be separated in the top and the bottom. So if the fish swims in the top and bottom, you can track. Okay, so for example, we use the computer software, then we can track fish trajectory, how they swim. And we know that when fish go into a normal tank, usually they go to the bottom because if you swim at the top, they worry about danger. So we go down to the bottom first. And then when they feel more comfortable, they go up to the top. So we just measure the amount of time they go to the top. If they spend more time in the top, that means they feel less anxious, they are happier. So this is what we do. So we find that in the control fish, they spend this amount of time at the top. But after they have been soaked with P5, after the brain P5 concentration is longer, they spend more time at the top, meaning that they are less anxious now. Okay, so this is the effect of P5. And so we trail. And another experiment we do is called dark light test. So in this experiment, we just fish tank divided into 2 parts. One part we just tape it so that it's dark. Okay, and so fish like if they go into a new tank, they like to stay in the dark part because it's safer. But if they feel comfortable, they will explore the bright part. So we measure the amount of time they spend in the bright quarter to see it's a measurement of their anxiety. Again, after fish have been treated with P5, they spend more time in the bright side, meaning that they are less anxious now. So P5 has a role to decrease zebrafish anxiety. And we also have a test to test zebrafish memory. How do we test zebrafish memory? It's called avoidance inhibition experiment. So in this experiment, we divide a tank into 2 parts. And one part of tank we put a platform so that it's very shallow. And the other part is still deep. And then we put a door in between. So when we put the fish into the shallow part, they feel very dangerous. And then when we open the door, of course they naturally want to swim to the deep part for safety reasons. But if they go to the deep part, we give them an electric shock. So this is training. The deep part is no good. So that's the first day. The second day, we put them into the shallow part. And then we ask the fish how much time they spend to go to the deep part. If they remember, they will hesitate. If they don't remember, they go. So do fish have memory more than 1 day? The answer is yes. So if you look at them, so if you look at them, then you will find that during training period, then they spend no time. But in the test, they spend a day later, they spend more time. But you look at here, if fish have been treated with P5, then they spend a very long time they remember very well now. So it takes them a very long time to go into deep water. So PFI can increase fish learning and memory. Okay, and this is to show the role of PFI is to increase neurite length. So we have a neuronal culture. So in the absence of PFI, you see the neurite is short. In the presence of PFI, neurite becomes longer. So this is the role of PFI. And so I Googled to see what do people know about PFI. So a few years ago, then I see this pop out. So pregnenolone has been used as a food supplement. So they can only use it for food supplement, for anti-aging, to promote memory. So when I talk to people, that's, oh, and it's inexpensive, very inexpensive. So people ask me, do you take it? Do you take it as your dietary supplement? I said, no, I never took it. Why not? Because I don't know whether there's any pregnenolone in it. I really don't know. There's no control, nothing. You just found this in the web. But then I think starting last year, then these all disappear. I think government starts to regulate, so they cannot advertise anymore. Yeah. So people know that pregnenolone is good for you, but it cannot be used, or people cannot advertise like this as food supplement. So I think the goal is really to test it very effectively so it becomes a drug, yeah, eventually. So I think my time is up, so I stop here. Oh, still have 5 minutes? I thought my time is up. I'm taking time. Okay, so do I want to continue or do we do this? Oh, no, I think I'll stop here. I'll answer questions.
Is there any question for Professor Zhou?
I'll start. Okay, this takes me back to my college life. As an Asian in college, you're usually pretty good with math. So I did pretty well. But when I walked into this biochemistry, chemistry class, I started losing what the professor said. So it was very interesting, your speech. Thank you, Professor Zhou. I have a question regarding the zebrafishes. Because this is the first time I heard of zebrafish too. When you guys do experiments with them, I see you have like more than one, pinpoints. So one of their more than one reactions. So do you test with like, say, 5 to 10, or how many zebrafish do you test them as a group? And do they react very similar or kind of different way? Because if you do the experiment with human or man or woman can have completely different response to all these things?
Yeah, yes, it's a very good question. So this happens if we deal with animals or with human beings because there are individual variations. So we do our experiments multiple times, and every time there are variations. So you can see that variation. One dot is one fish. So you can see that these dots, that means usually we need at least 10, 14 fish to get our distribution. So you see the distribution control is like the distribution of your test is like this, and so on. And you see the distribution, but that's not enough. You want to see whether there is any difference. So you do statistical analysis. I'm not a statistician. So there are different statistical analysis that you can do. For example, this one, if you compare this one with this one, and then you do the analysis, so we get a p-value. P means probability. So that means the probability of this one and this one are different is very high. So the probability of this one and this one are different is very low. And what's the probability? It's this much. So it's 0.00, so 0.09% that it's probably not alike. Yeah. So this is what you do. And these two, this is untreated, this is alcohol treated, then it's a control. So the probability that these two are alike is like 36%. That means it's a very high probability. So we say these two are the same, but these are different from that. So that's how you do your test. And you ask me, why do we use zebrafish? Is it good or is it? And the reason why we use zebrafish, I also use mice as my animals. But I like fish now because it's cheaper. It's much cheaper because it's small. So space-wise and everything, it's cheaper. And then there are many, many tools to use. Because if you look at zebrafish embryos, they are very big. Okay, with your naked eye, you can see it. And we can do gene transfer. We can inject genes into fish embryos. And then, so if, for example, we inject fluorescence protein into fish embryo, now fish becomes fluorescent. So you can, so for example, we can follow neuron. So this one I didn't, but we can see green neurons that migrate in the fish, and we can detect them alive. They're actually beautiful. Yeah, I didn't do you these slides. I should bring some movies to show you. Very beautiful. And they are transparent and very big, very easy to observe, especially for high school students. I usually welcome high school students to my lab because they play with computer games. Their hands are very good for injection. So they are not so nice to do injection. And they also know how to do the analysis, imaging analysis very well. So they are very good scientists.
In your it seems a little bit scary because I just noticed that 3 out of the 4 type of steroids you introduced earlier, I think either me or my son used that in the early stage. Especially my son, he had what's called atopic dermatitis in the early stage. So the doctor will suggest you to use it. And what I say is, they say, well, it's only 0.1%. hydrocortisone. So he said that it doesn't hurt him. But if you don't use it, there's some side effect. You don't use it because it's 因为很痒，会很毛躁，皮肤受伤可能会比较厉害。It's really true that if you use only the lowest, like 0.1% hydrocortisone.
Yeah, don't stop using it. Right, yes. So if the doctor prescribed the drug, please use it according to doctor's instruction. That's very important.
And I have a very stupid question.
No questions.
The fish brain is quite small.
Yeah.
And human brain is like
huge.
Huger than fish. So how is the amount of the medicine you do?
Oh yes, right. That's very important. So you just think that the amount that we take, and then you just measure the size and multiply it. That's correct. Right.
So is it like if it's 100 times bigger than fish brain, and you put 100 times?
Right. Yeah. So the doctors will know milligram per kilogram weight, whatever. Yes. And these are all experimental, so it's still early, right? Yeah, because the dose that we use, actually it's quite low, but you just see that how much it goes to the brain. So here, it's a very dose actually, and it goes to the brain, like increases brain like 30-fold. It's just incredible. So usually the dose that we use can be just like this. It's enough.
Thank you, Professor Zhong. Is there any more questions? Okay, then if you have more questions, please come to me, Professor Zhong, after the meeting. And please receive our gift. Thank you, Dr. Zhong. And next is attendance report. May we have PD Pat?
Okay, let me have today's attendance report. We have 25 Rotarians and 3 guests. So the total attendance rate is 76%. Thank you.
Thank you, PPPAD. Surgeon report. Let's have PP data.
The general report. Today we have 3 donations. First, the donation from our President Lu. Thank you for coming all the way from Taipei, Professor Chen and Professor Zhong. And thank you for your informative speech. 1,000. Next, from Dr. Live. Welcome Dr. Zhong and Dr. Chen. Excellent speech. 1,000. And donation from our Eason. Such a great lesson to know more about steroid. 1,000.
Thank you, PP data. Okay, coming up next week, we will have Miss Wu, Angela Wu, to have her speech to talk about the path to NGO brings meaning to her life. And please don't forget to register with Anne if you have time to attend the international service at Keboguan on November 17th and 18th. And President Lu?
Thank you all for coming. Good to see everyone again.